What's going on, everyone? It's Justin here and welcome back to another home tech episode. And in today's video, we're taking a look at a deep dive of my coffee setup and coffee tech. This is a video that I've been working on for probably the last year, and I've tested out all these different amazing coffee machines, grinders, different types of tools for making coffee. And this whole setup centers around my LaMarzocco Linea Micra, which is something that I purchased about a year ago, and it was a big jump into the world of making coffee. It has been fun learning about the art of making coffee, and there are so many great creators that I have learned from. But in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the whole realm of this setup, this machine, as well as customizing it with this walnut wood kit from Pantechnicon. But I mean, there are just so many aspects of design, cars, and coffee that all tie together, and I feel like it makes sense that I just love the space so much. So starting with the espresso machine, this is a LaMarzocco Linea Micra, and I'm someone who usually would go out and buy an expensive coffee each day, and as you start to do that, you'll see that pretty much every coffee shop has one of a few machines, whether it is a Victor Arduino, a LaMarzocco, or something along those lines. And I've wanted the Linea Micra for so many years. It was just so expensive though, and I just didn't picture myself wanting to spend that money. But one day I was going up for a road trip, stopped by a coffee shop, and I saw it in person, and after taking a few days to decide, I decided to go ahead and purchase this espresso machine. Some of the features include the fact that it is dual boiler and the fact that it just looks so beautiful, has all of the manual elements. And I will say it is a very hands-on machine, but as you get to know it, it is actually very advanced as well when it comes to modern day tech. This one in particular has Wi-Fi built in, and if you take a look at the new LaMarzocco Linea Mini, there's actually a scale and timer built in, and that is where you could take it to the next level. This machine has been really good, and it's amazing to see the amount of modern day tech paired with classic coffee technology that has been brought over from many years of Italian engineering into something like this. But I will say, if it is your first time like jumping into manually making coffee, it can be quite a lot to learn, so you kind of have to go step by step, do a lot of practice, and a lot of that comes down to the grinder. I would say a somewhat comparable thing if you're in like the videography world is that the camera body is one thing, but the lens is just as important, if not more important. And I would say in this scenario, the body is the actual espresso machine, which has to be pretty good, but at the same time, the most important thing comes down to your bean and your grinder, which is your lens and what you're actually filming. And so I hope that was like a decent comparison. And I feel like a lot of times people actually mention that you should invest in the grinder first before spending a ton of money on a top of the line machine like this. So when it comes to like my daily coffee grinder, where I have like the largest volume of beans instead of like the single dose setup, I have the LaMarzocco Pico. This is one that I think I can recommend to anyone who is just looking for a consistent go-to grinder, and it is actually grind by time. So you're able to manually weigh it and adjust accordingly, whether it is the grind size along here or just adjusting the amount of seconds just to be able to reach that 18 gram weight, which can vary. So I would say it is like semi-automatic. I have had some grinders that fully weigh out the grind for you each time, but in this case, you just go ahead and place it on the scale, and once you have your seconds and your grind size dialed in for the most part, I found it to be very consistent. You can do a single shot or a double shot. It is a 39mm conical burr grinder, and I actually found the taste profile of the LaMarzocco Pico to be relatively sweet and not too bitter. I know like some of the grinders that I use, especially the single dose ones, you can really fine tune it to get like that punch, but I found this was just like a really good everyday bean, and I got a great deal on it. But I would say if you're looking to invest in a good grinder to go with your espresso machine, if you're planning to have like a higher volume of beans, then the Pico is a really easy option. So on the topic of coffee tech, I usually sit down in the morning while I'm having my morning coffee and just go through some of the notes, emails in a more optimized experience as opposed to jumping right in to my work computer where it can be a little bit hectic. And of course, you guys know I have a paper-like screen protector on all of my iPads, and I want to give a huge thanks to them for sponsoring this video. It is the accessory that you should buy as soon as you pick up your iPad, and it not only protects the display, gives it a nice authentic paper experience, it also gives you an anti-glare finish that also helps with smudges and dirt and all that kind of stuff, while also giving you an amazing experience, especially if you're writing on your iPad. I'm generally someone who likes to use the iPad for an efficient workflow as well as enjoying multimedia. And the paper-like screen protector features a nano dot technology that gives it a true paper-like feel, especially if you're writing, taking notes, and so it not only provides you with an authentic experience, be able to enjoy the display at its full quality, but on top of that, it also reduces the amount of wear on your Apple Pencil over time. I also have this little ergonomic grip for my Apple Pencil from Paperlike, and they also make a folio case. But when it comes to the Paperlike screen protector, I've had it on all of my iPads for about 3 to 4 years now. And I mean, also just like sitting at the table, if I'm like eating or my hands are dirty, it also hides fingerprints and smudges a lot better than the standard display on your iPad. And honestly, the quality is great. It has a really nice gliding experience that you almost like hear as if you were writing on real paper, hence its name. So if you guys want to go ahead and check it out for yourself, I'm going to drop a link down below. So this right here is the Niche Duo, and even before I got into the whole coffee making thing, I had already seen this machine everywhere and knew I wanted to check it out one day. The one that I saw the most was actually the little brother, which features a conical burr grinder, but this right here is actually a 83mm flat burr setup, and I'm going to try to talk about some of the differences between a flat burr and a conical grinder and what type that you should go with depending on your preferences and workflow. For starters, what struck me was the design. It is made out of aluminum, and it's available in black and white, and it has real wood accents. That is really what makes it so beautiful, and it matches any workflow while looking very technologically advanced, but also artisan at the same time. I love the fact that it has a little platform here for your dosing cup, and you also have the wood accent and feet on the bottom that sit very nicely. Another nice design is just the way that it is arched. On the top you have this chrome finish and lid where you could pour your beans in, and you have all the fine adjustments from espresso to the other side, and the dual model specifically allows you to pick between an 83mm flat burr for espresso or one that is specifically for filter coffee, and you can change it out, which is a unique multifunction feature if you want to switch between the two, but in my case, I specifically am making espresso. There's also a little switch on this side that starts the grind, but let's talk about the actual flat burr setup itself. So when you're deciding between a conical grinder and a flat burr grinder, traditionally a flat burr, and especially a large one like this at an 83mm, is gonna give you a more detailed taste profile that separates all of the different characteristics of a specific bean. And so you can taste like the fruity notes, the chocolate notes, the richness, a little bit more bitterness is what I've noticed as well. And with a flat burr, it's typically known to be able to have a more consistent grind. And with the 83mm size, it is also able to grind a little bit quicker without overheating. This grinds at about 1 second per gram. And so an 18-gram portafilter basket will fill in about 18 seconds, which is pretty solid for a single dose setup like this. My LaMarzocco Pico is able to grind 18 grams in about 10 seconds, but that is a bit of a different setup. And with a single dose, I've seen anywhere from 1 gram per second to as low as about 0.5 grams per second. Even though speed is not always what matters, it is definitely an advantage in this scenario because you're not only getting a faster grind, but also a very consistent grind with zero retention. It is also great that it is infinitely adjustable. And so you just turn the dial here to the exact setting that you would like, and you can just fine tune and refine your setup exactly whether you would like. And between different espresso shots that you pull, can then tune it to the way that you can adjust in terms of the taste profile that you're really looking for. So this right here is the TIMEMORE Sculptor Series 078S pour over and espresso grinder. And I've got to say, it has become one of my favorite ones over the months. I feel like this one is very versatile. And what I like about it is honestly the design. It's not too big, but at the same time, it has a large flat burr set. And so it allows you to have the option of both pour over and espresso, but they also make a 078 that is made for pour over only. And so you have the versatility of that without having to switch the burr set. And I know a lot of people do prefer a flat burr, and I found that on some grinders, the flat burr was definitely a more full-bodied and stronger taste to it that definitely brought out a lot of flavor profile, but this one definitely had hints of that while still remaining relatively sweet, which you guys know I really enjoy. And so I think the design of this is one of the coolest parts because it has all of your little dials on the front here. It has a little magnetic lid on the top here. And at the same time, I would say when it came to the retention standpoint, it was definitely one of the better ones. You have a little patented knocker right here, but I found generally speaking, when it came to the distribution of the grinds, I found that the Varia a lot of times was a bit messier, even though it was a great grinder. But this, just the way that it is shaped and funneled into the cup itself, it was able to stay very clean. And I noticed specifically the retention aspects were really good. And I found that typically I slid towards the lower end of the RPM, anywhere between 800 to 900, just based on my own personal preference. I like to have options, and I feel like this right here is a grinder that gives you all of those options, from pour over, French press, espresso, to the RPM options. If you were looking for one coffee grinder that I would say is like mid-size, maybe not as small as the 064S or the Varia VS3, but not quite as big as the Varia VS6 or even the Niche Duo, then this sits right in the middle. And in terms of price point, it is also at a sweet spot. It is definitely not the most expensive out there, but it also isn't cheap by any means. But if you're a coffee enthusiast who has like a preference depending on the day, then this is an excellent option. So this right here is the option O LAGOM Casa. And if you know, Casa means home, and it is the home option from LAGOM's lineup. As you guys know, they do make some high-end flat burr grinder machines such as the 01, the P100, and they also have the Mini. And that is their conical grinder in the lineup. And this is their newly released model for 2024 that is a bit larger than the Mini, but definitely smaller than stuff like the 01 and the P100. It is really the sweet spot in the lineup, and it comes in at a size that is very compact for a single dose grinder, and it features a 48mm conical burr that is their Meissen series that has been built in-house by LAGOM for this model specifically. Things to know about a conical grinder is that most of the other compact options on the market feature a conical grinder, and you can pick between the different burr sizes. This one here is a 48mm, but you can also increase it to a 65mm if you would like for a faster grind speed. But the 48mm setup right here is very consistent, and part of that comes from the architecture of it. It is a slower paced grinder. It features a RPM of about 140, and it gives you about 0.5 grams per second. And so for an 18-gram espresso shot, it's gonna come out in about 36 seconds, which is standard compared to some of the other options that I've checked out that are in this class. As a result though, it has a very consistent grind, and it makes an amazing sound when it is running that isn't too loud, but it's very satisfying, and it distributes right in this cup here, ready to go on to your portafilter. What's great about this is also it is built out of space grade 6061 aluminum CNC machine with precision in every single visible aspect. You take a look at the sides, the seams to the cup, the hidden magnet that keeps it in place, and also the top where you pour your beans. There's no lid or anything leaded because the dome just naturally lets everything roll off, keeps it in place, and It features a steepless adjustment as well, and so you can rotate it from pour over to espresso settings within a few seconds. The industrial design that has gone into this is reminiscent of the entire LAGOM lineup that is typically offering their premium options at price points of more of like the thousands of dollars, but for under $500, this is probably the best option that you could find for a conical burr single dose grinder, and it's been amazing to have it in my lineup. As someone who is not exactly advanced in the coffee making industry yet, I will say that this makes things so much easier. The consistency of it as I pull the espresso shot is definitely evident, and the taste is just so smooth and soft, and at the same time, it really does have the characteristic that I personally enjoy as an everyday coffee. Personally, I haven't actually checked out some of the other models in the lineup, but I absolutely love the way that this was able to pull, and I feel like in the lineup of grinders that I have at the moment, I've checked out the Varia VS3, the Niche Duo. This right here kind of sits perfectly in the middle. It's definitely a step up from the Varia VS3, and I would say it is probably the best option that you can get right now for under $500. We have a product right here that really bridges the element of tech and design, and it is the Pantechnicon Walnut Kit for my LaMarzocco Linea Micra. As soon as I picked up the Linea Micra, the salesman told me about all of the crazy accessories and things that I can do to really customize this machine, and one of the most popular ones and the best looking ones was to convert the hardware over to walnut. So I was recommended to Pantechnicon, who are actually based in Washington, and they handcraft all of these amazing accessories that you can purchase for your espresso machine. And so I have the full set here in the American black walnut. You can also get it in an American white oak or an Eastern hard maple, and all of the wood is sustainably grown and harvested hardwood, and so I went through the whole installation process on my own. And as someone who isn't really familiar with taking these machines apart and working with all these installs, I was definitely a little bit worried in the beginning, but you could follow their detailed instruction guide, and as you can see here, I was able to successfully achieve the entire conversion on my own. All of the different finishes are very carefully crafted and detailed, and they even have a small Pantechnicon logo printed on the front here. But I mean, it just looks absolutely incredible. And if you're already invested in a machine like this, being able to customize it to match your kitchen or your home, it just takes everything to the next level. I also have the matching portafilter and handle, and this entire collection just looks so good. I mean, just from taking a look at how it has come together and from the before and after, it is definitely something that I recommend you go ahead and pick up for your LaMarzocco Linea Micra or Linea Mini, or some of the other models that they also have a walnut kit for on their site. I've really enjoyed the process of making my own coffee and putting together this setup so far. And as someone who has done a lot of desk setups and tech setups on the channel that have combined elements of design, tech, as well as raw material, the coffee setup has just been a natural transition, and I'm gonna leave a link to this accessory set in the description section below. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching this video of my coffee setup. And as always, if you enjoyed it, make sure to go ahead and drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I try to cover so many realms of home tech that can span from the traditional stuff such as computers, desk setups, and home theaters, to bedroom tech, clothing tech, and in this case, coffee tech. It isn't something that I covered on the channel for many years before, but as always, if you enjoyed it, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you all in the next one.